Okay, let's get to the really heart of this whole meeting. And we are so excited to have Stephen Key here tonight. I mean, I think he is like the number one worldwide expert in licensing. When you think of inventors, you think of Stephen Key. And that's nothing new. We were just talking before you all joined that uh, we had, I think it was like 10, 12 years. Well, it's been more than 12 years ago that Stephen came to Arizona. And he was a big name then. Now it's just incredible. He's the world's leading expert, I would say, in licensing consumer products. Um, he's American Association for the Advancement of Science, Lemelson Inventor Ambassador with the USPTO. Um, Stephen's an inventor himself. He has quite a few products, very successful products, and hopefully he'll tell us about those tonight too, because that's how he got started. That's how he got his feet wet into this whole creative endeavor. Um, had Stephen, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 patents, I think. Um, Awards like you wouldn't believe. If I listed those, we'd be on here all night. Stephen co founded InventRight, which is a coaching program for new inventors. He's helped people all over the world license their ideas. He is an author, quite a few books on the market. He writes for Forbes, he writes for Entrepreneur Magazine. Stephen, I'm not sure that there's anything that you don't do in the inventors world.
A
You've
little
even
bit.
started something new with young people too. So you can, tell us about that here shortly. I'm going to, let's see, hang on here. Um, there we go. Okay, let me go back to, okay, can everybody see the whole screen again now?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. Okay, well, with that, Stephen's here tonight. He's written a book called "Become a Professional Inventor." Incredible book. I read it. He sent us. You know what's really cool about Stephen is when he comes up with something new, he sends it to all the inventors associations first, and we get like the early preview of everything. It's very very cool. Um, but he interviewed experts all over the world to share their experience with open innovation. Stephen will tell you a little bit more about that. He's going to share with us what he learned from professional inventors and market leaders in all the different categories of inventing. How to present your ideas to companies, what separates professional inventors from the amateurs, and how your inventions are most likely to get licensed. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and highlight Stephen. And thank you again for being here, Stephen. And won't you take it away?
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. And I just want to welcome everybody for tonight's presentation. So thank you very much, Laura. I want to first of all start out to say that about, I would say 21 years ago, I went to my first inventors group. And it was by accident, and I met my partner, Andrew Krause. And he was running a very successful inventors group in Silicon Valley. And I was kind of curious that inventors were kind of gathering. I didn't know they gathered. And I came up with a certain way to license my ideas to companies. And I just brought a few samples and I started showing uh, some of the people that were there some of my products. And before I know it, I had quite a crowd around me. And Andrew said to me, Steve, you need to talk more about this because we're doing it a different way. And you found another way to do this. So I'm a big supporter of the inventing clubs. I have from day one because I think they're amazing. And I think the people that are involved, especially the leaders, are angels. because you don't, I mean, this is not a job. This is a passion. This is something you love to do. So I just want to thank Laura, you, but I also want to thank Lisa Lloyd. You know, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Lisa Lloyd. Because once I met Andrew Krause, and Andrew said, we need to teach this. And I don't know, what do you mean teach this? I wasn't good at, you know, school was the last thing I wanted to be involved in. Education I thought was terrible. And the only one that was really making a big dent, the only one that was really doing a good job was Lisa Lloyd. And I remember giving her a call, and of course she was pretty popular. She had licensed a lot of ideas and she didn't know who I was. And she took the call, and I asked her, I said, Lisa, you got to help me. I don't know what I'm doing. And she told me, she gave me the roadmap, everyone, what she was doing, and she really helped me get started. So I would have to dedicate my teaching career to Lisa Lloyd if it wasn't for her kind and giving. I never asked anything back because of it, right? And so Lisa, thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah. So I want to start out by saying I've made a living being an inventor, and I still am, and I'll talk about what I'm working on today. And I think the difference is, you know, I never had a day job, basically, and I had to figure this out fairly quick. I met my wife at a toy company called Worlds of Wonder in the late 80s, and she was in the marketing department, and I wanted to start a business, and we ended up getting married, and she was going to give me a little bit of time to figure this out. But I knew if I couldn't make a living, she was going to actually make me get a job. And that didn't sound very good. And so I applied some of the principles I learned along the way to test ideas extremely quickly, to make sure that I didn't spend a lot of time and money on any particular idea before I found interest. I knew that it was a numbers game. I could just feel it, that I was going to have to be an idea factory, send a lot of ideas to companies, and hopefully they took one of them. And if I spent a lot of money on patents and prototypes, there was a very good chance I wouldn't be talking here today about it. So I think some of the information I'm going to provide tonight is really, how do you do this for a living? And I think you have to be smart. I think you have to be frugal. And I think you have to do things in such a way that keeps you in the game longer. Because like life, it's a numbers game. And if you're in the game longer, the chances of your success are going to be greater. So the first book I wrote was called One Simple Idea. And that was a little bit by accident too. McGraw-Hill had contacted me. They wanted me to write a book. And what do I know about writing a book? But I said yes. And the book came out in 2011. It's been translated in 5 different languages. And it's being used now in some of the colleges as kind of a textbook. And it's the basic outline of licensing ideas. And if anybody is not quite sure about what that means, licensing is basically a very simple business model where you show a company an idea and they license it from you, the inventor, you're the licensor. And every time they sell one, you collect a royalty, which I really liked. I learned that by watching the inventor of Teddy Ruxpin collect royalties on the first talking teddy bear, and he was collecting about $1 million a month. And that's when it dawned on me, I want to be like Ken Forsay, the creator of Teddy Ruxpin, because at the time I was working in Hong Kong and I was living there and I didn't like it at all. So that's when the seed was kind of planted, that this licensing model, rather than the traditional model of starting a business, raising money, building prototypes and patents. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be creative, and I wanted to leverage the power of other companies. And today, more than ever, licensing is exploding. I'm seeing more licensing deals done in every category, not only toys, but pets and kitchen and medical and automotive, DRTV, fitness. It is exploding. And I'm here to also to tell you that even during COVID, we're seeing more products get licensed than ever. I thought it was going to slow down a little bit. It did for a little bit because of supply chain issues in China. But we're seeing almost a product getting licensed almost once a week at the moment, again. So we're seeing a large volume in all different categories. But here's the catch. You have to do this correctly, okay? And I was fascinated. After I wrote the first book, One Simple Idea, I wanted to know what companies were thinking, because I knew my perspective, and I knew maybe other inventors, but I really didn't understand how we were being perceived by these companies that were licensing ideas from us. So I thought it was time to elevate the game from the first book, One Simple Idea, to get you in the game, to really, how do I do this full time? How can I be a professional inventor and make a living doing this? And that's why I wrote this recent book. But I thought it would be really important to not only share my opinion, which everybody's heard, but why not get the opinion of all these companies? So I interviewed 30 different industry experts in 17 different industries. And I asked them, what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong as inventors? And I have to tell you, I was dumbfounded by it, because I've been within companies like Worlds of Wonder on the inside. I've submitted a lot of ideas. I've licensed tons of stuff. But what they told me shocked me a little bit. And that's what I want to talk to you tonight about, what they shared with me so you can become a professional at this. And the one thing I didn't realize at the time, being a professional inventor has nothing to do with any product you've commercialized or licensed. It has to do with how you conduct yourself. And that was really very refreshing to me. Right, so I'm going to start the presentation. Let me see if I can figure this all out. I think I can. Let's see. They sure make it easy, don't they? Okay, Laura, can you see my screen? For some reason I can. Oh, Laura, you're muted. So you said yes? Yes? Okay, great. Okay, everybody, here we go. This is a really thick book. Okay, I'm sorry. It's, is it 500 pages? I think it's like the thickest book you've ever seen. And the reason why I was so fascinating interviewing these companies, I couldn't stop. I didn't want to stop. I wanted to know more and more and more. And some of the companies I interviewed were companies as large as Mattel, not Mattel, but Hasbro, Conair, like a whole range of companies in all these different areas. And this is what I'm going to share with you. Yes, 30 interviews in 17 different industries. It's one thing if it's my opinion, who cares? But get the opinions from all these other people and professional inventors that are doing this as a living. Because it's okay for one person. I think it's okay to share my experience, but I really wanted to bring all that information to all of us. And this is what I've learned. They want and need ideas from us. And I was so happy to hear that. When I had a list of questions and I asked basically all of them the same list, I said, why are we important? Why do you care about us? Because I know some of these companies are billion-dollar companies. They have design teams. They've got really smart people. So why us? And they told me that when we come in and present ideas to them, we are experts in a way, because we know what we like, we know what we don't like, but we have a certain perspective on ideas. We look at things differently than they do, from a very fresh perspective, and they value that tremendously. And it was very important for me to hear it. They also said that they want relationships, and I think I'll get to that in a minute. But overall, open innovation. Companies are opening their doors, send us your ideas, but we have to do it right. because they did explain all the mistakes we're making too. And I'm going to share that with you because we're making tons of them. So they want us, they need us. Just to tell you, Mattel alone, just in the toy industry, 60% of their product portfolio comes from us. And they're the largest toy company in the world in terms of revenue. Corey Talbot from Hyde Tools, I think 40% comes from the outside. I know OXO, a big kitchen company. Every one of their kitchen products comes from inventors or product design firms. That's how big it is. That's how important we are. So know that you're in good hands and know that there's companies that want to see ideas from you. Okay. You know what they told me? They said, Steve, we open our doors and what's happening is we're seeing a lot of ideas that just aren't new and novel. And in fact, they said about 85% of all the ideas that they see, they can find on the internet within a minute. So we're not really doing our homework very well. And I know why. As inventors, we don't want to find our product out there. You know, we know we need to search and do a Google image search and maybe do a prior art search, but I don't know if we're doing it thoroughly enough because they're telling me, make sure your product is new. That's the first thing. Because if it's not, and this was really surprising to me, they said, Steve, if it's not, we put you in the amateur camp, right? And when they said that to me, I was like, what do you mean the amateur camp? They said, we put you in a pile over here and we might not even get back to you. So I know there's a lot of us that are listening tonight, you're submitting ideas and you're wondering, why isn't that company getting back to me? Sometimes they get so many submissions, but if you're not elevating your game high enough, they put you in a different pile because you're not ready for them yet. And they don't want to waste their time. They want you to improve. And I know we get frustrated. You send it in, nothing happens. You're like, what are they doing? Are they taking my idea? Why aren't they getting back to me? Because you're not a professional enough for them yet. So that's one thing we have to be very, very careful. Make sure your idea is new and novel, please. And you can do that by a Google image search, and you can also do a prior art, prior patent search on Google Patents or USPTO. Look around, be new and be novel. Okay. They also said, this was shocking to me too. There's another mission I'm on, and I'm going to talk about this because this is going to make sense to everybody. They're saying, Steve, we're seeing ideas, they're submitting ideas to us, but they don't fit our product line. I said, well, what do you mean? Well, they don't know our business. You know, someone might have a kitchen idea, kitchen product, and they're looking at kitchen companies and they're looking for the submit button. Where's that contact button? That's what they're looking for. They're not like looking at their product line, maybe the material that's being used, the price point, their mission statement. They're not really understanding the business. And I'll give you a good example. OXO, I love that kitchen company. At the time, I did interview Alex Lee that was running OXO a couple of years back. And if you go to OXO, it's a wonderful company, and you look at their website, and what you're going to realize real quickly, they're not going to tell you what they're looking for, right? And that's frustrating for us. So you have to kind of read between the lines, and you can read their mission statement if you can find it. They don't have one, but you can read their blog. And what you're going to realize very quickly, they state, we don't take any gadgets. And we don't take anything that's new. Wow, it's like, what do you mean you don't take anything new? Well, they take existing products that have been on the market for a long, long time. They know people want them, and they just make them better. Wow, that's a really smart marketing strategy for a company, and that's what they're doing. So if you've got a kitchen gadget or you're showing them an idea that's brand new, they're not going to take it. But if you don't understand that, when you submit it, you're going to look like an amateur. And then they put you in that certain pile. So you really have to know their business. Now, Where the problem lies is that they're not going to tell you, okay? And you're going to guess, and it's not going to match up very well. And, but I do realize if you look at their website very carefully and study it and do not get in a hurry, you'll see a pattern. You'll start to see what they're doing, and make sure you read their blog, their mission statement, read it all. But it's not going to be that obvious at times. Now, I did interview a company today or yesterday in Israel that they did something I've never seen before. They actually had a video. The video showed you exactly what they're looking for. It kind of floored me because it was the price point, the size, the material, or the demographic stage. They gave you everything that most companies do not. So my next goal is to start building relationships with companies to build a bridge, because the communication is missing a little bit, and I'm going to work on that. So know their business. The other thing they've told me is that us inventors, we send those guys the craziest stuff. You know, we'll send a patent application. You know, maybe we'll send, I don't know, a sketch on a napkin, or, you know, we're not sending good marketing material. Or even if we do, they get it and they're looking at it and they go, we don't get it. What does it do? What's the benefit of it? So what I've been trying to teach people is that your marketing material needs to be spot on. It needs to communicate clearly. And there's a format, you know, a good sell sheet, which you start with is a one-page advertisement for your product, has a value proposition, your one-line benefit statement at the very top. Why would anybody even care? A beautiful rendering of your product, photograph of your prototype, maybe a 3D computer-generated image, or whatever you have, but show me the beauty shot. This is it. But that one-line benefit statement at the top is so critical, because what it says, this is why your audience cares. This is why they're going to need it. And then maybe a few bullet points for the features, your contact information, but they can get it and understand it within seconds. That's how fast. And if they don't, they're going to put you in the amateur pile. And sometimes it's hard to get out. So I'm going to recommend the two tools that I think are the most important part. Now, I talked a little bit at the very beginning about how to be frugal and how to be smart. So I recommend everybody to do a one-page sell sheet. It's a one-page advertisement that has those elements we talked about. And make sure once you design it, and have a professional graphic designer design it for you. Don't do it yourself, because you want to kind of look like them a little bit. Go to their website, look at their verbiage, look at what they're looking for. And if you look kind of like them, they can kind of imagine that being in their product line a little bit. If their colors are, let's say it's a medical product and you're using blues and whites, and you come out with yellows and greens and orange, I mean, it's like, how is that going to fit? So it's a visual thing too. So your marketing material, that one-page sales sheet, take your time, art directed if you have someone that can do it, maybe a student at the college, or maybe, you know, someone that's got good design talents, that put that together for you, and then test it. Give it to your spouse, give it to a friend, and see what their expressions are. Do they get it within a second? If they do not, go back and fix it. That's going to be so critical. Also, we like these 1-minute little videos, very powerful. You've seen these little videos on late night TV, DRTV, as seen on TV. A 15-second black and white, someone struggling, and then 45 seconds of here's your invention. Everybody's happy and there's great music and your invention solves that problem. That 1-minute format is very popular on As Seen on TV platforms. Go to All Star Innovations. You'll see a list of all those little commercials. If you can do a commercial, doesn't have to be fancy, but show the problem, the solution, it's a great selling tool. In fact, I think that's the best selling tool today. But don't forget the sell sheet, because they can get the sell sheet, they can print it out and give it to everybody. Not so much today because of COVID, but at least they can share it. But you need to have the both. And what I like about the sell sheet, if you do it correctly and don't throw the kitchen sink into it, make it like an advertisement you see on a billboard. Going 60 miles down the freeway, you look up, you get it. Simple, simple, simple. As inventors, we have a tendency to throw the kitchen sink in because it does this, it does this, it does that. Make it easy for them to understand it. They will have more questions, and that's a great time to engage them when they have more questions. Now, the other little tidbit here, and I think Lisa's going to really like this bit, because I learned this recently. And we had a product manager from a very large baby company come on, and I interviewed him for the book, David Contract. And David told me, said, Steve, I'm going to show you a sell sheet that I showed at Walmart. I thought, wow, that's really cool. I get to see that. Same thing. The benefit, maybe some features, contact information, the product, very simple. But what he did that was really brilliant is that he had another page. And that other page showed the similar products and then the product he was submitting and the point of difference. That allowed them to look at it at a snapshot, that you've done your homework and you know what's out there and you know your point of difference, and even checked off the little boxes, what this did and the other ones didn't do. That little piece really elevates your game. Now, you cannot put that in a one-page sell sheet. It's too much, it's too crowded, but you could do it on a second page. That to me was a great piece of information. It's in the book too. And I really cannot thank him enough for that, because he really took it to a whole nother level. Okay. Let's see, that's number 4. Number 5. You know, I'm sure we have a patent agent. I saw Alex on the line, and maybe a patent attorney in there. I'm a big believer in intellectual property. In fact, if I turn the camera here, you'll see a wall of patents. I'm a big believer in patents, but not for everything. I believe sometimes we're frightened because someone's going to steal our ideas. I think that's rare today. Yes, there's some bad companies, of course. But the best protection you can have, reach out to a company that works with inventors. They have a track record. The door's open. They don't want to close it by doing anything funny. That's your best protection. I also believe that it's hard to protect anything today because of Amazon or Alibaba, or it's a great place to sell products, but there's a lot of people that are going to copy you. Okay, so that's okay. But they only copy ideas that sell well, by the way, too. So I tell everybody, if you're getting copied, you're doing something right. In fact, congratulations, because you must be selling product. They don't copy products that aren't selling. But that being said, how do you protect yourself a little bit? Okay. Don't ever be fearful. Be careful, not fearful. I believe you start with a well-written provisional patent application. I'm a big believer in that tool, but I think it has to be done correctly. And as inventors, I don't think we're doing a good job. I'm going to say it here. I think we're rushing a little bit. I don't think we're putting enough work into it. So when a licensee, you're the licensor because you're the inventor, the company's the licensee, when they see it and they ask for your intellectual property protection and you show them your provisional patent application, it's done well. It gives you perceived ownership. And the way to do that, if you're going to work with a patent agent, maybe you're going to work with a patent attorney, make sure you give them the right information to do a good job. I think we're not doing that. And that means make sure you've done a Google image search so you know the similar products and your point of difference. Very clear. When you do some searching for prior patents, maybe do it yourself, maybe hire somebody, that you know the similar products so you know your point of difference. Then the next step, I think it's really critical, steal it from yourself. Now that sounds very odd, but realize engineers within companies have a tendency just to start changing things, trying to make it better. They can't help themselves. So what I want you to do is get ahead of them, be smarter, be faster, use your size, because we can do some really remarkable things because we're small. If you steal it from yourself in that provisional patent application, you're going to have workaround language, variations. You're going to show that you really thought about this because you know what's out there. You've done your searching, you know your point of difference, but you've gone beyond that. You not only protected the invention, but you're starting to protect the innovation. That has huge value. Now, the other thing we're not doing is understanding manufacturing. And I think a lot of patents out there, no one's taking that in consideration. So if you really want to be smart and elevate your game to a professional inventor, find out a little bit about how it be manufactured at the lowest price point too, by the way, because that has huge value. And if you could add some of that language, maybe material, and maybe you have to hire a freelance person you find on LinkedIn that's an ex mechanical engineer or electrical engineer or chemical engineer. Hire them for a couple hours, have them sign an NDA with work for hire language to help you understand how it's going to be manufactured. Now, when you put that all together, that has huge value. And when you add a lot of drawings to it, when whoever sees that within a company is going to go, that person did a good job. Now, it sounds a little daunting, but once you realize all those pieces, only you can do that. No patent attorney or patent agent is going to do that for you. That's why you have to be the expert, and you can do that. And once you do that, when a company sees that, they want to work with you. You're an asset, right? They have confidence in you. That's the way to elevate the game. I asked those 30 industry experts about patents because I wanted to hear what they had to say. Everyone would love to have a patent. Everyone. Who wouldn't want to have a monopoly? Everybody does. But they also said, look, Steve, it's not required because products go in and out of the market so fast. It's also, we're not going to chase people around the world. They become very practical at it. Now, the really big companies, they kind of like it a little bit because they're big and they can force the retailer to pull it off the shelf. They can litigate, yes. But the mid-sized companies, the ones that really want us, that are hungry for ideas, those mid-sized companies, and they're still big, they would like to have the option, if need be, to file, maybe they pay for you to file it, or maybe you file it, to file for a non-provisional. So you're giving them the option to do that by doing a well-written provisional patent application. Someone asked me at InventRight, we see a lot of signed licensing agreements. There's no patents, and there hasn't been for years. And that's shocking to most people. Because we've been taught to be fearful. We've been kind of sold down that road to being fearful. And what I'm telling everybody, don't be fearful, just be smart. And give yourself the opportunity to file if you want to or not. Some companies won't care. But here's the trick. Ask them how important it is to you. And if it is important, and if you've done that, then have them pay for the non-provisional. Pretty simple strategy. Okay. I love intellectual property so much, I can't stand it. I'm going to be writing about how to write a bulletproof patent next, because everybody's heard about PTAB and about some issues. And what I realized, those patents are weak patents. And inventors are suing companies and they're coming back and filing those IPRs. And I'm realizing that the game that's being played, inventors don't understand what's happening. We have to be smart. So we can play the same game, but let's be really smart and let's start talking about how do we create value. How do we create so much trouble it's not even worth them to challenge us? Don't fight the system, work within the system. That's what we need to learn. Okay. Number 6, I mentioned this, understanding manufacturing costs are critical. They all told me that's the most important thing. Now, I wasn't really big on this because this is not really my area, although I was involved in manufacturing. But someone from an electrical engineer, an ex-employee of Hasbro told me this. He says, Steve, I get, when a product goes into Hasbro and the new acquisition team sees it and if they're interested, they send it to me to do a cost of it. And he goes, I'm really busy. So sometimes I just send it over to our manufacturing guys over in, wherever. And it always comes back too expensive because most people don't know how to put a bill of materials or at least give enough information so when they cost it, it's built correctly. So what happens is most of the ideas, it's too expensive, it gets kicked out. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So if you understand a little bit about manufacturing or hire someone as a consultant, your chances are going to be far greater now of getting those deals done because you understand how important it is to hit that price point. If your idea could be fantastic and they might love it, but if it doesn't fit a certain price structure for them, they're not going to take it. So as inventors, we need to file intellectual property with maybe a couple different variations. Maybe it's a low cost variation, maybe it's more expensive, but if we're really focused on that customer, knowing their business and hitting a price point, we're going to get more deals. That's how you elevate your game to another level. That's what the pros are doing. So we need to become professionals at this. They said, most inventors are not that polite. It's like, what do you mean not that polite? They said, you know what happens? And I know how this feels. We're so involved in our own product, our own inventions, that we're not thinking about them. It's all about us. And so we're kind of in a hurry. We're kind of demanding. Sometimes we're not reasonable. And they would like for us to be more of, why don't we build a team? And the company said to me, Steve, when you license an idea, we're not only interviewing your product, we're interviewing you. Because I have to be able to bring you into our team to work together, because whatever you give me, it's just not going to fly out the door. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to have to be tweaked, reworked. And I need to be able to bring you in to have that relationship so we can all work together to get a great product. So have some empathy for them. Understand they're under pressure. Be that asset. Be that person you want to bring in. And don't keep bugging them. What did you do? Did you get it? What do you think? I mean, we're always just at their door, knocking at their door. It's okay to be a product manager. It's okay to reach out. It's okay to manage it a little bit, but be part of their team where they want to include you and build that relationship. That was so important. It surprised me. That's how they felt about it. I was like, wow, I think we're kind of speed dating with our ideas. We're throwing them up against the wall and we're not spending enough time understanding their business, and we're in a hurry. Don't do that. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be there for a long time. Number 8, be an asset. The number one thing, they really want you to be part of their team. They said, don't jump around. Because you inventors are crazy. You send us an idea, we don't hear anything back from you for who knows how long. Please study our product line. Keep on submitting ideas to us because we need ideas. We want ideas. Don't jump around. Know our business. It's who you know and what you know. And the only way to really be good at this, stay in an industry long enough to where you know everybody. Stay in an industry long enough that you know their business. I see more success happening from the pros. And I'll give you a good example. We have a student that's been with InventRight for a long time, and he could never get a deal. He finally stayed in one industry, and now he's licensed 6 ideas in that industry because he stopped jumping around. That's it. That's a quick one, guys. So let me see if I can stop the share. Get back. Hey, I actually did it.
Thank you, Stephen. You know,
Okay.
there's a couple of questions in the chat. If you would look at that and maybe address a couple questions that are coming in.
Well, let's see what we have.
Yeah, let me find Ron Lake in here real quick, and we'll just bring him up. Ron, if you want to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay, and then let's see. Ron, go ahead.
Yeah, my question was, when you're thinking of the bill of materials, should you include the expensive molding cost in that, or after the fact of just the bill of materials after molds and injection?
Well, if you have that level of knowledge, and if you really understand that one process might be better than another process, you could mention it. I don't know if I'd go with the cost, because they're going to have to, realize once you give them all the specs or the bill of material or some of the components, they still have to do their own homework, right? So but you're really guiding them to what you think, and they're going to really love that because you've taken it to another level. So I don't think you need to include that cost. If you have it, I would probably leave that out. They'll figure that out.
Okay, thank you.
What a great question.
Okay, Stephen, we have another question from Sean. Let's see, Sean, can you unmute, please?
Can you see me?
Let's
Can you hear me?
see. Let's go to. Yeah, there you are. Yeah, we
Okay.
can see you, Sean.
Okay, so my question is I have a patent. I have manufacturing all set in place. I done my market research, so I know there's a market. I know my competition, and now I'm looking to license a product, but don't really know where to start. Like, I could call up all the companies in the world, but I need to call the right company from after listening to our conversation. And I'm ready, but I need some guidance.
Okay, let's talk about the right company. That's a wonderful question too. What I've done, and I think the simplest thing to do is, if you think let's say you think your product's going to be selling at Walmart, go down to Walmart, find that exact shelf that it's going to be on. And you might have to ask the store manager, where would this idea, I get this idea that's kind of like this, where would it be? Find the shelf, take a picture of it. And then those are all your potential licensees. Now, sometimes you think they're competition. No, those are the companies you're going to present to. So find exactly where it's going to be. And those are the companies you're going to look in the back of the package, take a picture, and those are the companies you're going to reach out to. Now, here's where it really gets fun and easy, because it used to be hard, but it's gotten a lot easier. I just wrote a book, I loved, for a guy that could barely put two sentences together, I'm writing quite a bit. So we teach a class of how to use LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is really the easiest way to get to companies today. Everybody wants to, and this was kind of odd, today people are all about screening everybody. They want to know who you are. Everybody's so busy, they want to make sure you're worthy of their time. It's crazy, right? No one picks up the phone, especially now with COVID, but they kind of want to make sure you're not wasting their times. If you go on LinkedIn, have a great profile. We talk all about your profile. Your profile on LinkedIn is like your digital handshake. Your profile on LinkedIn is like your personal sell sheet. And if you do that correctly, when you reach out to a company on LinkedIn, in fact, you went down to the store, you got the name of the company, I search them on LinkedIn, and there's all the employees. Oh, geez, there they are. I can target marketing managers, which are my favorite people, someone in sales maybe. Don't reach out to 20 people, just reach out to like a marketing manager. And we've even written little scripts in the new book. It's called Licensing Ideas Using LinkedIn. I wrote it with Benjamin Harrison. I think he spoke to your group already. He's the smartest guy on the planet when it comes to this. He sees a 60 to 50% response rate if you do it correctly. And that means don't get in a hurry. That means find the right company, find the right person, ask for a connection. Once they connect, say, I'm a product developer. Do you embrace open innovation? Do you take outside submissions? If you do, is that person you or somebody else within your company that you can connect me with? Ask permission. Don't say, hey, I got the greatest idea. It's going to add $10 million to your bottom line, how big the opportunity is. Don't go ahead and here's a link. Here's my product. Don't pitch. Don't sell. Make a connection. LinkedIn is the easiest way to connect with people today, especially because everybody's on the computer now. It's easier today than it ever has been. You know, it used to be you'd get an email or make a cold call. You don't have to cold call anymore because that person that's making the connection is going to look at your profile and go, oh, this person looks like someone I could work with. He looks professional. I can bring him in. That's that digital handshake already. That's why LinkedIn is working so well. If you don't have connections, work on your profile. Connect with me. I've got 10,000. How's that? Connect with me.
The funny thing is I connected with you, you connected with me, but we never really had a conversation. So there was a connection.
Okay, so what that means is that my 10,000 connections are now yours.
Okay.
Okay, they're second degree connections. Second degree connections means that when my connections, you can just send a message to, hi, I'm a product developer. I live in Arizona. Do you take outside submissions? Now, if you're not connected second degree, it might be third degree. That's when you have to ask. You hit the button, it says connect, and you have to wait for them. That's why you want to build as many connections as you can, right? I have 10,000, Judy DePrang, she has 30,000. George is working on his. I know Lisa's got connections there. After a while, you're building your community. You know, what's really great about LinkedIn, if you do this correctly, you're going to build an army of people that are like you. You're going to build an army of people that have other relationships. You're going to build a relationship of prototypers, patent attorneys, companies looking for ideas. You can build this whole world on LinkedIn in your industry. If you're not on LinkedIn, it's like not having a cell phone. You have to be on LinkedIn. So that's how you do it, Sean.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great question.
Let's see, Stephen, we have a question from Chase Tremblay, who is actually in Brussels. So it's in the middle of the night. Jace, can you hear us?
Yes, sure.
Okay, you want to go ahead with your question?
Yeah, I'm new in this, let's say, in this industry of licensing product. It's a pleasure for me to meet you. And as I live in Europe now, I'm from Canada actually, but I live in Europe, and I would like to know, in your network, do you know a lot of companies who are willing to work with professional inventors?
In
Are
Europe?
they? Yeah, in Europe. So maybe it could be good to also look into the United States, but
Okay.
as I live here, I'm just waiting. Is there any companies who are also willing to work with me or other inventors?
That's a wonderful question. At InventRight, we have students in 65 different countries. So we get to kind of see what's happening. One of the biggest markets in the world is, of course, the US. So you should start there. It's easy. Okay. Some countries aren't as friendly. Okay. They just aren't. We found that a lot of companies in the UK, they're a little bit more formal. It takes a little bit longer. They want to get to know you a little bit before they bring you in. There's a kind of a cultural thing going on. I have found that a lot of other countries are coming up to speed with open innovation. They're not quite there yet. So I would start in the US first, because sometimes US will have long arms all over the world. I did have someone that just read my book, One Simple Idea. Mohammed from Cairo, Egypt, read One Simple Idea, licensed an idea, and now his product is selling everywhere in Europe, and he licensed it to a company in Europe. So yes, you can. You have to present yourself as a professional, of course, take your time, do all the steps we're talking about, but yes, you can. It's not as popular in some parts of the world as it is in the United States. And even in the United States, there's some companies that don't want to talk to us. You know, there's if it's the major companies, when you make your list of companies looking for ideas, you know what you do? I tell everybody, make a list of 30 companies, because your first 10 won't deal with you. Because the first 10 are your favorites. Coca-Cola, P&G, 3M, Black & Decker, all those really monster companies that are a little bit risk averse. They're so big. They kind of let the mid-sized guy kind of trail the blaze, you know, blaze the trail or whatever that expression is. And they let them test it and then they come in later, right? So they don't innovate, they buy it later or they reverse engineer it, but they come in, but they're not going to do it at the very beginning. They don't have to, because they are the market leader. They don't have to take risk. So when you make your list, make at least 30 companies and just realize it's going to be company number 29 that gets it. It's going to be number maybe 51. I've seen even like 78 get it. So, but it's never your first 10 because they're really big. So getting back to your question, start in the US, make sure they embrace open innovation. Always, whoever you're going to work with, type in their company name, lawsuits, complaints. Today, you cannot hide, right?
Okay.
You cannot hide today. If a company, here's some red flags when you're trying to find a company that wants to work with you. It's very simple. If they're not on social media, that's a red flag, okay? Because we have power. We have more power than you can imagine today. You see, you used to be able to call customer service 1-800 number and no one would ever get back to you, right? You know how frustrating that is. Go on their Facebook page and complain. They'll call you in 10 minutes. They can't have it. They spent too much money on their branding for you to poke them in the eye. So the power has shifted. That's a whole nother topic, but I love how it's shifted. If those companies have never licensed an idea before, kind of a red flag. You're going to have to take time and educate them. It's going to be painful. You can do it, but it's going to take longer. If a company says you need a patent, run for the hills. They're not interested. Because I told you, it's not about patents so much anymore. It's about speed to market. If you waited for a patent to issue, you could miss the market. So that's one of those things that they're kind of keeping you at bay. Here's the other thing. If they have a third party that's reviewing product submissions, that's another red flag, right? Because the companies that really embrace open innovation, they take it internally because you have to. You need other departments to come in. You need manufacturing, you need the legal counsel, you need marketing, you need engineering. They come in to review as a team. If they've got one person that's an independent contractor reviewing it, that's kind of a, they're not as serious. They haven't invested in it yet. Mm-hmm. So you'll see that occasionally. They're basically keeping this at bay. But I don't like a middleman, right? I want to be able to work these relationships with these companies ourselves. And I know Lisa knows a lot about that relationship building because you can get to all these people now. It's easier today to get to everyone on the planet. You go to a trade show, which they don't exist at the moment, they will come back. You have access to everybody. LinkedIn's the same thing now. You can get to the president, the CEO, the salesperson, the marketing, you can get to anybody you want now, which is a really remarkable time for us inventors. But don't go too high up the ladder. Make sure it's a marketing manager or someone in sales or engineering.
Okay. So thank you very much.
That's
and don't forget, literally, the world is watching us. It was watching you right now. So.
Well, they are, and it's amazing how everybody is watching us, and they're watching what we put on our Facebook. They're watching our Instagrams. They're watching our LinkedIn. Everybody's watching. So I tell everybody the microphone's always on. So don't poke anybody in the eye. That's never good. Be nice to everybody. I think that's a good
Yeah.
policy. If someone pokes you, don't poke back. Don't do that. Build good, solid relationships with people, because people in the trades they move around, but in the same industry. So that's why, as inventors, one company said to me, this one inventor submitted an idea. I looked at it. I said it wasn't right for us, but he wanted to argue about it. And the person said no. And so she told me, and so a month later, he submits another idea. And she's like, I don't want to deal with this person. They don't forget. So be the ambassador for your next inventor friend, right? And in fact, when you reach out to a company and you present yourself correctly, you just help the next guy. We all have to help each other. And we have to keep the door open. That's why we have to submit good ideas and be part of their team and be that ambassador, so you keep the door open for all of us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I love that question.
Thank you, Stephen. Let's see, Scott Penley, can you unmute? And Scott has a question. There we go.
Hi, Stephen. So I was just wondering if you've ever had a great idea and maybe you did a prior art search and then you found a very similar product, but you still believe in, your idea. And then you looked into it further and then you found out the inventor didn't actually do anything with their patent or their product. Perhaps they just gave up on it because of manufacturing or financial reasons. Who knows? Would you recommend just abandoning your idea at that point and move on? Or would you actually consider maybe contacting the inventor somehow to get additional information out of them or discuss some kind of business opportunity?
Yeah, don't stop. Here's what's crazy. There's a lot of prior art. Who cares? There's tons of it. It doesn't bother me. I want to find out why it didn't come to market, right? That's what I want to find out. So if I had a great idea, but I saw a prior patent, I'd call the inventor and go, what happened to you? I love this idea. And they're going to tell you two things. Number one, well, I didn't know what to do. Number two, I got too busy, or maybe I tried to venture. You're going to hear some story, and then you have to determine if it's still something you want to pick up. You might say, hey, look, this is really great information. And you might even tell the guy, what if I license it from you? What if you give me 6 months to see if I can license it, and if I can, we'll share the royalties or give you 10%. Don't stop just because he didn't do anything with it, but reach out, don't, you have to be a little careful because everybody's going to be a little, who's this guy calling me? But if you call as a consumer, hey, I love this idea. What happened to it? You'll be surprised that might be the best call that individual's ever had, because he's probably spent $20,000 and has a plaque on the wall, and his wife is not too happy about it. Okay.
Yeah.
But also I realized this, one of the most popular products I had was invented. I thought I invented it, and it was a rotating label. You can see it here. This sells at Yellowstone National Park. It's a water bottle. You turn it here. You spin the label. I thought I was an inventor. No way. In fact, my patent attorney said, Steve, I know you. You didn't invent this. I go, yeah, I did. They did a prior art search. They didn't find anything. I went to Procter & Gamble. They were interested in it. They did a better search. They found 2 patents exactly on this idea. Now, most people would have quit. I didn't quit because it wasn't on the market. You see, I thought there was a disconnect. If it's not on the market, what happened? So that's why I'm very curious. And I found out there was no method of manufacturing. So that wall of patents over there, that's for one idea, because it we sold about 500 million labels. It made about $10 million on an idea I did not invent. And that product, I hate to say it, everybody kind of laughs. That product didn't do well. Can you imagine a losing product does that type of revenue, I have to laugh about it now. It should have done much more. Now, I want you guys to realize I'm still in the game. I want you to go to Fishbone Packaging when you have time. And I'm working with a company now. I'm part of that company that we're eliminating the plastic rings on 6-packs. And I'm working with all the major beverage companies here and around the world now on the IP of it, and licensing agreements. We have high-speed equipment. We have it on small accounts now, but you're going to see that those little nasty rings are terrible. And we have a new technology. So I'm back in the packaging industry again. I always try to get out of it. It always drags me back in there. But I'm never worried about competition. In fact, Fishbone Packaging, we're already getting knocked off. Like that. We're getting knocked off by Coke and Heineken in the UK. Those terrible guys over there. Does it bother me? No, not at all. Am I going to go after them? No, not at all. You help me. You don't hurt me, you help me. Because that type of innovation is what I call a big idea. It's good for the environment, and there's business for everyone. That's the way I look at it today, right? And they're just going to help me tell the story better. So I look at things a little bit differently, and I don't mind if another similar product, I don't mind that. You just have to navigate it, find the best way for you, and find homes for your ideas. And don't worry about the competition so much. Be aware of it, but be smart, be fast, and carve out your part of the revenue.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Let's see, we have Tina Orr, who has a question about protecting her idea. Tina, can you hear us? Let's see, Tina, we can't hear you. I can see that you're not muted. Let's see, Tina, can you hear us?
Laura, it might be on her own computer versus muted here.
Oh, she's muted again here. Hang on.
You could just read her question if she can.
Okay, I will. It's kind of lengthy. I tell you what, Tina, we're going to come back to you. In the meantime, let's see. Oh, Tink, Ed Golem. Ed, can you unmute yourself?
Sure.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Tink, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I have 2 non-provisional patents, or they're at least applied for. They're about 8 months old now. And, you know, I'm on LinkedIn. I've got, 600 plus users and all that kind of thing. And I have a PowerPoint, I have a video, I have a bunch of stuff out there. And, I'm not getting the interest that I thought I might get. And maybe I'm just not taking the right approach on that. I'm listening to what you're saying, and it sounds like, okay, maybe I need to do something different.
Okay. Well, if something's not working, you always have to step back for a minute and ask why. It could be your presentation. Typically what's been taught is that I have to do this pitch deck. Here's 20 videos to tell you why this is such a good idea. I think that might come later, if it comes at all. I think you'd need to really put it together in a very simple 1 page, and then and make it so it's so fast for them to pick up the phone. I think a lot of marketing material is not done well.
Yeah, I put a sell sheet out there also, and
Okay.
it's just a little half sheet of paper with the pertinent stuff on there.
Okay.
And
Well, do you understand it fast, like seconds?
yeah, I think so.
Okay, all right, good. How does your idea compare to similar products on the market? Do you have enough benefit? In fact, I think what Lisa likes to say, does it have the wow? Okay, because
I thought it did.
If it's not big enough, they won't pay attention. Is it big enough?
I thought so. I was working originally with a guy who's been doing fitness all of his life. And when I created this and I showed it to him, he goes, you need to do something with this.
Okay.
You need, and so he encouraged me to do the patent on it.
Well,
And
okay. Number one, the fitness industry is not the easiest industry. Okay. I don't know why it isn't, but it should be. It's more popular than ever at the moment because no one's going to gyms, right?
right, right.
But it's controlled by a couple large companies, and they're going to ask for, do you have any proof? Right? I see them asking, okay, this is a great device. Do you have any testimonials? You're saying it does whatever. How do you know? How do you prove that? They always ask for that. The easiest way to get a licensing deal, here's the tip I'll give you. Take away risk. How do you do that? Well, if you can find, let's say, and this, you have to be a little careful with this too, but let's say I find an end user or I find a customer that would buy it. Maybe it's a large customer. It could be a buyer, it could be a retailer, it could be a hospital, it could be whoever that would buy volume. If you show your idea and go, hey, what do you think? Is this something you would carry? That demand takes away risk, right? So you could take that demand, go back to someone you're submitting it to and go, hey, look, this particular company wants this. That shows demand. Now, you have to be a little bit careful with some of the retailers because some of those retailers don't play fair, especially in the hardware industry. I've heard some terrible stories with some of those guys. The buyer sees it, tells his manufacturer, now you see your idea on the shelf in 6 months. You got to be a little bit careful.
Okay.
But if you have a paper trail and you tell them you have a patent on it, I think more companies are being a little bit more honest about that whole working together. Also, are you getting feedback? Are they telling you why they're not interested?
No, I haven't really gotten anything. It's just kind of like a black hole.
All right. If you're not getting a response, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Either the wrong person at the company or the wrong product for that company. I see a mixed match all the time too. You got to really zero in perfectly for that company. Not like, hey, they should do this. Here's a great opportunity that you're not even thinking about. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I think you need to go down that line, but you really need someone and ask them, could you please, I just need a minute of your time. Why is this not a good fit?
Right.
And usually they'll give you the keys to the kingdom. They'll tell you why.
Yeah, I've got, half a dozen 3D printed versions of it. And I've been using some of these for 3 or 4 years and they work like brand new. So, I know that it works. Everybody that has kind of shown it to.
Are you part of this group here? Do you come regularly?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I want to say this. The most important thing you can do is stay with your inventing group, right? And I'll tell you the reason why. Your community is going to have more knowledge. You're going to have more resources. They can tap in and they can help you. Make sure you're working as close as you can with your group. This is your community. And it's important. We need to stick together, tap into people. We've got George on the line. Make sure you connect with George. I know he's hiding over there. But he's someone that you want to talk to later if you can. George.
Stephen, let me interject here too for Tink, because I've seen some of your posts on LinkedIn. And Tink, I think if you connect with Ben Harrison or read that book. Stephen, what's the new book? What's the name of the new book?
Yeah, it's called. Yeah, I'm in my underwear, so I don't want to stand up. That's not true. No. That's not true. That's not true. Well, there's one here. I know Eric. Where is Eric? Is Eric?
Eric Sundquist.
There. Okay, there he is. It's called Licensing Ideas Using LinkedIn. It's the latest, greatest information we have today. please pick it up. I think you'll really enjoy it.
I think so
I'm going
too.
to keep it updated because things are changing so rapidly.
Yeah.
That would probably be helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and Tink, you need to come to our, our closed door meetings, our, membership meetings, because we can really help you on that specific thing. Like I said, I've seen some of your posts and I have some suggestions for you. So
Okay.
we'll see you in a couple of weeks, okay?
Yeah, I did present it at
Yeah.
one point, and
Right.
you happened to be missing that time. You were off having fun.
That was long before COVID, and
Yes.
yeah, I was out of town.
Gotta
That was,
come back.
I've missed what I think maybe one meeting in 10 years,
And
and
that
it
was
was
it.
that one.
Is that one? And make sure you reach out to Lisa Lloyd. She's down here too. She knows more
Right.
than
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, she
She's
does.
a pro
You know,
here, but that's
mean-
why these clubs are so important.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this thing, I've been able to make it sing and dance, and it's really amazing. I mean, there are, I can't say similar products on the market, but they weigh pounds. This thing weighs ounces, and it does the same thing.
Well, tap into your resource here. This is your big team.
Yes.
I mean, that's the way I look at it. This is your team. Tap into them. They've got great stuff. They
That's right.
people have more experience here. I know a few people here that I know they can help.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give it a shot. I know I'm just not doing something exactly right because
Yeah.
you
You know what, we can help you there, Tink. And Stephen, thank you for that, because there are people sometimes that will, join our organization, but you have to keep coming to the meetings. You have to come to our closed door meetings, even if you don't need help that particular night, because you're always going to learn something from other people. And, this is an ongoing process. So you really do need to, come to all the meetings in order to really get the value. So let's go back real quick here. We have just a couple more people here. Tina has been waiting. She says she's on her iPhone now. So Tina, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hallelujah. I have a question about my next invention. I have already filed a provisional patent application, and I understand that you don't have any, you own nothing. It's just a PPA. It's like a bookmark to, this is what your invention is, a place and time. And my invention can be used globally, and the company is global, and they're one of the largest in the world. And this invention would sell really well. It cost me $3 to make the handmade prototypes. I'm saying it might sell for $10. And the international patent would be too costly for an inventor to pay because I don't have deep pockets. And they're an open innovation company, and I have actually given him some general information about what my invention does. And their existing product lines, their existing production lines can be tweaked just a little bit so that they can manufacture my invention without hardly any cost at all. And I have the drawings and everything ready to submit to them. And so I understand that they're probably not going to sign my NDA. So I told them that I will sign their NDA if I can have like a clause in there saying that company XYZ will not patent inventor's invention without an agreement in writing. Okay. So that's what I want to do. But see, I want to see if I can get their patent attorneys to file the international patent application.
Okay. What you're asking for them to sign an NDA, say they won't work around you or reverse engineer and all that kind of great stuff, they're not going to sign that. You might be able to get a contract manufacturer to sign that, but a big company, whoever signed that would be in deep trouble, okay? Because you don't know what they're doing in the back room, and they're too big. They can't sign that. They're just too big. What I would recommend, it sounds like you've got a big project here. You better find someone to help you. You're
Okay.
I'm going to be as honest as I can. you're playing in the NBA and you're in junior high, you're playing in high school.
Okay.
All right, so you need to have someone to help you navigate those waters. Now, that's why you're here tonight. And there's people that people I see on the screen that can do that. All right, but for anybody to go into those type of negotiations without having previous experience, you're going to probably be taken advantage of a little bit. Okay, so
Okay.
I would recommend, I know Laura could probably direct you to people like George or Lisa that have more experience with that could possibly help. But it sounds like you've got a big opportunity. This is not the time to try to do this by yourself. Okay. This is the time to find people that have done it and tap into their resource and say, hey, I need some help. Okay. I mean, because it's complicated. You want to make sure.
And I don't want to just give them my invention and just say, here it is.
Well, you know, of course you don't. And you followed your PPA, and you want to make sure you navigate it. You're smart. You're asking. You're not being difficult. You're not going to do anything where they can work around you. You're trying to say, look, you know, there's questions to ask. There's a sequence. You know, how important is IP? And they're going to tell you, where would you like it? And you're going to realize where you need to file. And if you sign a licensing agreement, you're going to want someone to help you navigate it so they pay for it. So you need someone pretty experienced at this. This is not what you're telling me is not like a kitchen gadget. You're talking about something that's got a little broader range. You need some help. Okay, that's why you're here tonight.
Yeah,
which is great. So
yeah, it'll help. It'll help with decreasing the COVID transmission too. So I don't really have 3 to 5 years to wait for. You know, it needs to be worked on quick.
You're going to need some help.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the best advice I can give anybody. And it could be myself, it could be a bunch of people on this panel that I know, but do not do this by yourself.
Okay.
No.
You said George, Lisa, or George who?
Laura can help you connect with the right people. She can bring you in and navigate, but you're here, you're at the right place to get the right help. And that's what's really important. But it sounds like you've got a big idea, and do not do this by yourself. There you go.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Tina, if you want to email me, you can go on our website. My email is on there, and I'll help direct you to people that can help you with that. Okay. We have.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You bet, Tina. You have a good evening.
Okay.
Let's see. We've got just a few more questions. We're kind of coming up here on a little bit of a time crunch, but Stephen, are you okay to take a couple more questions?
Yeah, my wife just came in and went like this. So I'm fine. She went like this. She goes, my wife, I'm fine. So go ahead.
Okay, well, we'll just go like just a couple of real quick ones here, because you know, I know the wife's the boss, you know. I mean, we all got to know that.
That's
you know?
my boss.
Yeah. When she speaks, you listen. It makes life a whole lot easier. Okay. As soon as you guys all learn that, you know, the world's going to be nicer.
32 years, I've kind of figured that out.
You kind of figured that one out. Okay. Please tell her I said hello.
I will.
Okay. We have a question, Ricky Johnson. Ricky, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You go
Perfect.
ahead.
So I'm working on an invention for punching bags. And so I basically made a list of like the top punching bag manufacturers that I wanted to kind of reach out to. And I also made a list of fitness equipment companies that I wanted to reach out to as well. And so I was actually able to obtain a licensing deal from one of the top punching bag manufacturers, but it turned out it was a kind of a terrible deal. I actually talked to Lisa Lloyd about it, and I had to turn them down. And so now I'm kind of going back through the same process with a different company. And so my question is, since my product is pretty specific, I'm reaching out to like I said, punching bag manufacturers and fitness equipment manufacturers, but that ends up making my list only about like 10 companies or so long. And so, I mean, it's a pretty high probability that out of those 10, nobody would be interested. So I want to make that list longer. So I'm kind of just wondering, like, am I pigeonholing myself too much by being so specific with the companies that I'm looking for, or, where to kind of go from here?
No, I think you're actually doing the right thing. You have to really target those companies. That's why you're getting interest.
Right.
So don't try to go too far in one direction. I think you're going to be wasting your time.
Okay.
But don't forget too, that if you submitted to a company 3 months ago, submit again.
Okay.
I see more licensing deals happen 3-6 months later.
Okay.
It's a timing issue for a lot of companies. If you don't understand their cycle of new product development, things change, management change, people change.
Right.
And go back if you've got any new improvements, any new news, make sure you reach back out and say, hey, I just want to keep you updated, what's going on.
Right.
I'm surprised at how many deals I see that get rejected the first time, but 6 months later they get picked up.
Okay, interesting.
I'm dumbfounded by it, but it happens all the time. It's a lot of it's timing.
Right. Okay.
So don't hesitate to go back out and go back at them. And I think what you said about licensing agreements going bad, that's why I tell everybody, you've done a lot of work. You filed for intellectual property, you build prototypes, you've worked very hard. Don't shortchange yourself when it comes to licensing agreements. That is not the time to be frugal. That's the time to get the right people to help you navigate it correctly.
Right. Definitely.
Give you some
Definitely hard walking away, but I'm glad I did it. So we'll see how it pans out.
Well, sometimes walking away is the best thing that could happen to you. You just don't know it.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You bet.
Hey, thank you. We have one more question here with Eric. And Eric, this will kind of wrap it up. And actually, I have the same question. I think everybody else does too. Stephen, there's always some hot industries, at certain seasons or certain times. What would you say are the 5 top right now that are really looking for products?
I'm glad you asked that because when the COVID hit, I thought as inventors or the community, we could do 2 things. We could sit back and get quiet and wonder, do people really want our ideas? But what we did, my group, we just went harder. And I started interviewing companies, and we did this for about 26 weeks. In fact, we have one tomorrow night. I bring on companies that are looking for ideas. And I'm a firm believer in bringing these companies on and having us tell us what they're looking for and what problems do they have. And these are the hot ones. You guys, it really makes sense when you think about it. Anything that has to do with you being at home in your office, that's very popular and that's not going away. I hate to tell you that is here to stay. If you've got something that makes yourself more organized in your office space, that's a winner. If you've got something in the kitchen category, hey, we're not going out to restaurants right now. So kitchen is on fire. That's not going to stop. Pets. Wow. How many people have adopted a pet? All over the place. And so pet products are going to keep on doing well. And I love that industry so much. I don't care if the house is burning, you're taking care of your pet. So that is going to be a great industry also. Fitness, home fitness, no one's going to the gym. That's not going to stop, okay? DRTV, as seen on TV, that's the craziest industry ever.
No.
But it hasn't changed. And what I mean by that is there's more opportunity. They're using social media to sell different types of products from $19.95 to $99. It's expanded, it's growing. So DRTV That's a great industry. It's kind of fast. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of dangerous, but that's hot. That's going to be there forever. I also believe anything that has to do with do-it-yourself around the house, right? People are making improvements. That's going to be very, very popular. Gardening, that's also popular because people are just caring about what, how their house looks, or maybe even how to feed yourselves. People are kind of going in a little bit, right? They're not going out, they're going in. Toys, holy smokes, toys is through the rooftop. They haven't seen a slowdown whatsoever. There's probably more than that, you guys. I just think you have to shift your thinking a little bit. Also do this. The big box retailers, they're doing fine. The smaller guys are being hurt, right? So when you license an idea, make sure you look at the companies that have an online presence. That's the key thing. And make sure, especially in some categories, it's very important to design products that are needed, not wanted. Okay? Needed, but not wanted. Because given the current environment, it's important to realize what people really do need, and they're going to keep on buying it, right? The baby industry, 3.8 babies are born every year, some number. That's not stopping. That's a need. All those products are needed. So that's a great area. Anything that has to do with being a little bit, keeping things a little bit clean, sanitizing, that's a hot topic. That is not going away either. So there's more opportunity today than I've seen in years. That's what the craziest thing about it. So it's the best time to become a professional inventor.
You. Okay, Marcus. Well, we're coming up here. Let me close this out.
Or can I interject? This is Karen. Can I interject something?
Yes, please,
He's been
Karen.
very polite about not promoting his own InventRight as a help. And I think he should get a minute to at least explain what he does.
Please tell us. Yeah, Stephen.
Well, thank you for saying that. Everything we do at InventRight in my core company, we give away for free, which is really I'm probably the worst business person on the planet. I've written 1,000 articles, 1 million words on licensing. We have a YouTube channel with over 600 videos, InventRight TV. I believe in giving. I believe that you cannot give enough back. So that's my business philosophy. This industry has been so good to me, I don't think I could give enough back. Okay, so what does that mean? That means educate yourself, all right? If you need more help, and if you like for someone to help you, I have a company for 21 years called InventRight, where we hold your hand. We make you accountable. We meet with you once a week. We make sure you're successful. And we see more signed licensing deals than any company in the world. And there's one reason why. Our brand InventRight means caring. And I'll tell you the reason why. It's very simple. If you're successful, we all are. And I truly believe that. I don't care if you've read a book of mine or taken my course. I'm going to shine the light on you because you're going to help everyone. And we need leadership in this industry more than ever. And because of that success, it gives me a voice to talk about it tonight. It gives me a voice to write for all the major magazines. It gives me a voice at the USPTO. You empower me if you're successful, and I will fight as hard as I can for that. So thank you for mentioning that.
Thank you, Stephen. I can attest to that, Stephen. What is it, like every week you have one of your students licensing a new invention?
Yeah, we almost do once a week. I hate to say that number. People always ask, well, how many is that? We do it very quietly. We don't want to be on anybody's radar. We're not a small company anymore. We're a little bit larger, probably larger than I care to be, actually, to tell you the truth. But we're very good at it. And we see one very regularly. And if you follow me on any social media, you're probably like, God, Steve, you're killing me with all those success stories. Could you please stop it? But it's important to me, and it's important to you, it's important to your family, but it's really important to the whole community that you're successful. So stay with this group, right? Keep on doing whatever you have to do to fight hard, believe in yourself. You belong to the table, educate yourself, connect with really smart people, and just do it. You can do it.
Okay, thank you. You know, I've asked everybody to unmute themselves and
Yes.
for a reason. So will all of you please unmute yourself? One of the things that I think we're really missing nowadays with COVID and all that is, you know, any kind of interaction. We see everybody on the screen, but what I would like to do, Stephen, is actually give a really hearted applause and let you hear it. All right, guys, let us hear it.
Well, thank you.
You bet. You know, thank you very, very much, Stephen. Really appreciate, you know, all the wisdom, you know, and all the helping. I know early on I've reached out to you, and you know, you've helped me. You've helped a lot of the inventor groups across the country. You've just been a leader for all of us, and we all really appreciate you. So,
Well, you make me feel great. So
Thank
thank you for doing that. And keep, as my partner says, keep inventing, don't stop, and get your products out there. Don't stop dreaming, right? Because you can all do it. So thank you very much, Laura. And
Thank you all very
everybody
much.
for coming tonight.
And
Thank you
we'll go
so
ahead
much.
and
Thank you,
Thank you very
Stephen.
much.
Thank you,
Thanks for the
Stephen.
presentation.
okay, everybody. Good
Bye,
night.
everybody.
Good night.
All right.
Bye
Good
bye.
night.
Bye.